Good afternoon, family. Welcome. Check in, everybody. Let us know where you're hailing from. Hello, family. Grand rising, great rising. Good morning, if you believe in morning. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending upon where everyone is hailing from. Check in and let us know how you're doing and where you're hailing from. So, Grand Rising again. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. This is Wednesday, February the 19th, 2025, and the time is 2:41 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm out of town, so I promised you all that I would go live as much as I could, but I did say that I probably wouldn't be able to go live that often. So check in, let us know how you're doing, where you're hailing from, what's going on in your neck of the woods, family. It's just so good to be here. So I'm out of town. I'm traveling, spending time with my mom, my siblings, my in-laws, my nephews and nieces, my cousins. And it's just a wonderful time spending time with family away. So I get to experience something new. I'm in Texas right now. So it's still a free state, but I've spent time in the rural part of Texas, and I got a chance to like see where like the Ku Klux Klan on it. So my family's like the Ku Klux Klan live over there, and they mind their business. We mind our business over here. Everybody's respectful of each other, and I'm like, wow, really? We still have that like in 2025? They say, yeah, but it's no big deal. Everybody minds their own business. Everybody in the rural areas, they grow their own food. They burn their own garbage. People respect one another. And according to my cousins, these are my second cousins that I got to go see over in the rural areas in Texas. They were like, the mindset of the people there is they're very conservative. They believe in gold and silver. They believe in the Second Amendment rights. Everybody, they believe in open carry. Everybody has their own guns. And they were saying, as long as you mind your business and respectful of one another and you act on code, everything's good. Like if you mess with like the subcultural people in subcultures, like the people who maybe kind of like live off the grid, like the Mormons, they mind their business or whatever. I can't think of the other name, the groups of people, but is it pilgrims? Not pilgrims. It's another group of Puritans here. You may even have the Ku Klux Klan here, and you have, these people over there. Everybody, they say, respects one another. And now, if you like go onto their territory and you act crazy, then you're subject to deal with whatever comes with going on somebody else's property. They were telling me, my cousins telling me that. And they were saying, even if you are a person of color and you go in somebody that doesn't necessarily jive with people of color and you just start messing with their stuff, then you get what you get. And on the contrary, if somebody comes from, their neighborhood and their land and they mess with a person of color, then the Ku Klux Klan will deal with their own people because you're not acting on code. And they were like, it's respectful out here. Nobody's scared of each other. We all take care of each other. Just don't bother people. I was like, okay. And she said, interestingly enough, because one of my cousins is a female cousin, she was like, interestingly enough, we all watch out for each other. And some of us go to the same churches. And I was like, wow, this is so different. And she said, in the churches, they talk about conservative values. They talk about family. They talk about wealth. The pastors tell the people, you need silver and gold. You need arable land. You need hard assets so that we can all travel together and we can get along together. And I'm thinking, this is wild. And so my cousin was also telling me, keep checking in, family, that I hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, Amish. Thank you. That's the A word, Rissy. Thank you so much. My cousin was also telling me that there was a time period in history when women of color lawfully, legally had to go out of their homes and work. She said that was against the law for women of color to stay home. I was like, what? All this time we've been hearing that, women just decided to go off to work, or women just, decided to leave their husbands. And she said, no, it was a law in Texas and some other places in the country where women of color had to go out and work. And so the women that were not of color, they're women of European descent, didn't know how to raise their children. So some of them even went out to work. Like, I'm not raising these kids. And she said, it's interesting how when you live in certain parts of the world and certain parts of the country, you get to learn the culture, the fabric of that particular society, and you come to overstand it and respect it. I was like, wow. So she said, now one of the things that they talk about in their church in Texas, like the rural parts of Houston, is what are we going to do if all the migrants and the illegal people that are here leave? Because she said, now we're worried about who's going to do the work. She said, because a lot of women are like, I don't want to do that hard labor. And a lot of men haven't been used to doing it since you had all these illegals and unlawful people doing it. So she said, that's the type of discussions we have here in the rural areas of Texas. What are y'all talking about? And I was like, well, we're talking about how we want the illegal and unlawful people to leave America because they're taking the jobs. And she said, I want you to think of the other side of that. What happens if they all leave? Who's going to do the work? I said, the legal ones, so it's just really interesting having different conversations when you're in a whole different part of the country that you're not used to. So I just thought that was really, really interesting. And these are some of my second cousins that follow our podcast and follow me. So I got the opportunity to talk to them about conservatism and conservative values. And I'm even spending time with my family who are, considered liberal, and they're tell me their fears, and I'm telling them my side about, how if we get rid of welfare programs, how people are more likely to get out and work, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just a really, really good to hear both sides of the fence and to try to be as unbiased as possible. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to spend time with many generations of my family in the rural parts of Texas, in the city part, in the woodlands, the affluent parts. And it's just really, really nice. And at the same time, so we're staying in the suburbs right here, like outside of Houston. And I've only been here since Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is just Wednesday afternoon. It's the fourth day. The Mexicans in this community have put up the shells and the frames of 5 houses already and finished another. It's only day 4. And I'm like, good Lord, so that's opening my eyes to the discussion on, what do you do if you get rid of all the migrants and all the illegals, and what's the proper way? And, then I'm dealing with some of the friends of my brother who's, are being downsized through government. And I'm like, you guys, it's going to be rough in the beginning. Okay, because we're not used to all of these changes. We're used to depending on illegal migrants. We're used to depending on illegal immigrants. We're used to depending on the government. We're used to even some of the people that are on, I even have people in my family that had welfare benefits. What are we going to do? And I'm like, get up and work. You know what I'm saying? So it's really challenging for people to do a paradigm shift where you have to take your mind and actually shift your thinking, So this is really good. I'm just spending time letting you know where I am, family, and what's going on in my neck of the woods. So keep checking in. I think these type of conversations are so important as you're talking to your family and friends about President Trump, the Trump administration, and Elon Musk and the whole crew, the Grand Army of the Republic, and how they are bringing about massive changes. Okay, it's going to be uncomfortable for a while. It's going to be a little challenging. It might make people upset. It might make some people cry, but it has to be done. Change is always uncomfortable. If you are in administration or in business, you've read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And that talks about how the only thing constant in this world is change. And in order to bring something from chaos and bring order and discipline to it, you have to first go through a cycle of change. So keep checking in, family. We're going to talk about how President Donald Trump has been declared and known as the 21st century General George Patton. But before I do that, family, I just want to recognize, I see Chief Mac in the house. Chief, thank you so much. Every time I get a ding on my phone, I'm like, what is that? And it's the Chief, family. Chief Mac does does such a good job of taking care of me financially because he doesn't want me to work. He's just like, the work that you do is blessing the family. It is blessing our soul family, is blessing people all over the world. So he takes care of me. Chief Mac, thank you so much for the blessing you gave me just this morning. I just looked at my phone and wow, I was like, what? You gave me how much money? God bless you. Have a smile on you. I love you so much. And for anybody else that has blessed my work, thank you. My Cash App is $MAMAKIA 13. I appreciate you so much. That's Mama Kia 13. Thank you, Chief Mac. Thank you to my son, Dexter. It's so good when your own children bless you and support your work. I appreciate you. Sister Rosemary, thank you. Tawanda, thank you. God bless you. Having a smile on you. Alicia, thank you. Alicia Grinsley. Cameron Frederick, you often come through with a Cash App blessing. Tristan, thank you. D. Mays in the house. Thank you so much. Joanne Lamson, thank you. God bless you. Virginia Seegers, I appreciate you. Anthony Newton, look at all these people blessing me. I am so grateful. Deborah Johnson, Michael Spradley, Norma Salazar, Robin Morgan, thank you so much. Cameron again, Colleen Novelty, and Chief Mac again, thank you. God bless you. Heaven smile on you. I am just so honored and appreciative. Chief Max says the welfare benefits that people get is coming out of their trust. You don't have anything. They don't have anything to give to you. They're giving to you what already belongs to you. I agree so much. So hello, everybody. I see you. Oh, Most High says, when I get some coins, Auntie, I'm going to come through with a blessing for you. So I don't know if you heard this, family, but people are saying that President Trump is like a new General George Patton. I think that's interesting that they're calling him the 21st century George Patton, because a lot of people actually have said that President Trump is the real son of General George Patton. I don't know if you guys have heard that. So I saw this on the Daily Signal that he has become the 21st century George Patton. And that's very interesting because if you know a little bit about George Patton, you know that he was born into a life of privilege. Okay, his dad was a successful lawyer who served at the Los Angeles County District Attorney, and his mom was the daughter of Benjamin D. Wilson, who was the first elected mayor of Los Angeles and a wealthy landowner. This George Patton wasn't even formally educated until he was like 11, like after his 11th birthday, and they said he really enjoyed history. But then he studied at the Virginia Military Institute at around 1903 and was transferred to the United States Military Academy. But what made him renowned and world famous was that although he struggled academically, the man was a brilliant leader. He was brilliant in the military. He was hot-tempered. He got the job done. He was the Allies' at first and most gifted tank commander. He led a series of wildly successful offensive operations in Europe during World War II. He was controversial because he had erratic behavior. People didn't know if he was coming, or if he was going, or he was going. People didn't like him, but he got the job done, General George Patton. So people are saying President Trump is the 21st century George Patton. And Taj, hey Taj, hey best friend. He says Elon is Robin Hood. Love you, brother. Love you all that are here. It is so cold, and that is something that I think is very, very symbolic. It's even cold here in Texas, unseasonably cold. It gets a little chilly, but it is freezing and below freezing. So General George Patton is known for being a war hero. He was hot-tempered. He didn't play games. But you know what? When you are fighting a war and you're going to battle and you are fighting against an avid, crazy enemy, you cannot be soft. You cannot be nice. You cannot be meek. You have to be hardcore. And that's what President Trump is. He's hardcore. He's not playing games with anybody. So while most presidents, though, take months or years to accomplish their goals and the things that they promise to stomp out or to take care of, President Donald John Trump signed 36 executive orders in his first week alone. And since then, almost daily, he has just put out a bunch of executive orders. Why? Because he's using the tools of the deep state, the tools and the avenue that they set up in place, the executive orders to demolish them, because he promised us that he would totally obliterate the deep state. He's hosted press conference after press conference, okay, letting us know that he has got the job done. And they said he's approaching 50 executive orders as of this, when I started doing this research, which was a couple of days ago. How many more has he done? 50 executive orders. That's unheard of. We're only in what, the first month? So what kind of things has he done? He's attacked US aid. He's dealt with the border crisis. He's put tariffs on other countries. He's secured deals with different military leaders and country leaders. He's downsized the government. He's done a whole lot of things for which we ought to be grateful. Let me show you some of the promises that Trump has delivered. And then we're going to talk about Elon Musk, since my friend Taj, I love you, Taj, brought up Elon Musk and how he's Robin Hood. President Trump has been on a roll. I listed a couple of things that he's done, but I'm just going to look at this list that we saw from the mainstream media. Now, when mainstream media reports stuff, we pay attention, we pause, and we say, okay, let's see what you're talking about. After just 17 frantic days, Trump had already delivered most of his agenda. So let me go down here, and I'll be sure to put this in the description section for you. Just briefly go over some of the things that he's done. He sealed the border and he stopped the migrant invasion, number one. Number two, he carried out the largest deportation operation in American history. Why? Because there were millions of illegal immigrants and migrants that had crossed the border. In fact, even Biden admitted to flying over 320,000 illegal migrants during the last year of his presidency or residency. Thirdly, he's ended inflation, or he's working on ending inflation and making America affordable again. Fourth, he made America the prominent energy provider in the world by far already. Fifth, he stopped outsourcing and turned the United States into a manufacturing superpower. And as a matter of fact, as an aside, I would say President Trump told all those companies that left America and went abroad to China and elsewhere, look, you come back home and you manufacture at home and build at home or pay, because I'm going to put tariffs on you too, not just these other countries. I'm going to put tariffs on American countries that went abroad. Come home and build in America or pay. So he's ending outsourcing and turning America back into a manufacturing superpower. Six, he's implementing large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Okay. Seventh, he's defending our Constitution for our republic, which is different from the Constitution of the United States Incorporated. He's defending our Constitution for we the people, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. And I see that right. I mean, they don't play in Texas. Listen, they got like stuff here on the side, here on the front. You walk in the house, you might see it all on the house. I went to one of my cousin's house and she was just like, oh, I might be a sweet lady, but I carry, as a matter of fact, you sitting under something right now. You don't even know it. I was like, ah. She come from Cleveland though. She don't play, so she loved Texas. Eighth, preventing World War III. Restoring the peace in Europe, President Trump and his administration is doing, and restoring the peace in the Middle East. They're building a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Ninth, he's ending the weaponization of government against we the people. I like this. I love this. In fact, on Inauguration Day, he signed the Ending the Weaponization of the Federal Government Executive Order, which applies to not only presidents and elected officials, but to all Americans. All Americans should feel that the scales of justice are weighted equally. 10, he's stopping the migrant crime epidemic, and he's demolishing the foreign drug cartels, crushing gang violence, and locking up violent offenders. Let's pause here for a minute, okay? Let's talk about the migrant crime epidemic. A lot of the people that were coming over through Mexico into America were actually criminal drug cartel members, drug cartel human sex traffickers, child traffickers, I mean, all money launderers, all coming through Mexico into America. And some of them were coming from Venezuela, all different parts of South and Central America. Some of them were even coming from the Middle East and masquerading as Mexicans, okay, because they all have the same complexion. And I don't mean to make it seem like they're all one people. So please don't think I'm offending anybody, but they were masquerading as Mexicans, and they would bring children across the border that weren't even theirs. A lot of the crime that was going on, see, I lived in California. Have family in Texas. We knew that a lot of these crimes that were going on, these gang violence, drug cartel, was by migrants, illegal migrants and immigrants that had come to America. And some of them were even MS-13 gang members. President Trump has put a stop to that. And speaking of the drug cartel, there was just a shootout the first week of President Trump's presidency, where illegal migrants were crossing the border, and the border czars and border protectors were National Guard members were trying to stop them from coming, and the Mexican drug cartel started shooting at our people. So they shot back. And it was like a war going on right at the border. President Trump is not playing with these people. He's put a halt by even putting more people at the border. And then when he did business with Canada, Mexico, and China, and other nations, France as well, he said, you're going to pay tariffs, okay? And you're going to protect the borders. He explicitly told Trudeau, was it Trudeau in Canada, I'm putting tariffs on you, and you're going to protect the borders and make sure that you stop allowing fentanyl to come into our country. And Trudeau at first, was it Trudeau? Is that his name? I think so. Was like, I'm not agreeing to no tariffs. I'll put a tariff on you, and I'm not protecting the border. Well, Trump would not relent. And now we had Trudeau saying, okay, I'll comply, and I'll make sure I send many people to the border, and we're going to seal the border and stop allowing fentanyl into America, which was causing a lot of deaths here. And Trump saying, not only we're going to do you one better, we're going to bring Canada into America and make y'all the 51st state, okay? Because all he's doing is restoring the republic. He's bringing back Canada, Central South America, the Gulf of Mexico now, making it the Gulf of America. Panama, he's taking control of the Panama Canal so that no drugs can get in, and he's going to protect and take care and secure all of that, because that was a part of this great landmass, a part of this great empire before the bloodline families took over and stole our freedoms and incorporated themselves in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization in Delaware. Okay, that's over. He's also rebuilding our cities, including Washington, D.C., and making them safe again, clean again, and beautiful again. And as a matter of fact, one of my Moorish brothers from Tennessee was like, all of the big cities, the urban cities that had been demolished, because, industry left and, gang violence, drug violence, he said, they're rebuilding them. I said, not in Jacksonville where I live. He said, you just don't know about it yet. Check it out. So I want you all, family members, to check out Revitalization or Rebuilding My City where you are. And you're going to see all this information come up about your city, about the plans to rebuild your cities. I didn't even know it. And some of the plans haven't even started, but you'll see how they have it all planned out. They've already done the architecture on paper. See, my brother he took woods and drafting and design and all that when we still have vocational schools. So I know what it looks like when you do the drafting on the paper before you actually do the building. They are literally rebuilding your cities, family. That was the 11th promise, and it's happening. The White House laid out its plan to rebuild infrastructure in the United States. Beyond that, President Trump met with Washington, D.C.'s Democrat mayor, Muriel Bowser, right before taking office to discuss shared priorities, which included improving D.C. President Trump and I both want Washington, D.C. to be the best, the most beautiful city in the world, and we want it to reflect the strength of our nation. So your city is going to be revitalized. And remember, I'm going to get back to this, but let me let you see my face. Remember, President Trump did initiate the Sovereign Wealth Fund. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is a fund, right, or a vehicle that's comprised of foreign assets, which are foreign currencies, stocks, bonds, silver, gold, palladium, platinum, rare earth minerals, real estate, all of this stuff in one fund so that it can be used for two things: for infrastructure or for development, and for investment. This is something that a lot of oil rich nations already have. So this fund will enable us to be able to revitalize the infrastructure in the cities. That's what the sovereign wealth fund is all about, to make America great again, make America rich and wealthy again, make America beautiful again. So this sovereign wealth fund is huge, is monumental. It enables the government to do a lot of things for we the people. And in this way, we're self-sustaining, we'll take care of ourselves, and the government doesn't have to tax the people. So remember, they used to say, oh, you have to pay taxes because it's for the infrastructure, it's for the roads. And you're looking at the roads like it's horrible, nothing's happening with the infrastructure, because these people were taxing us and aligning their pockets. No more. That's why we have the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Grand Army of the Republic. Thank you, Nasara White Knights and White Hats of the military. Thank you, if there is a Galactic Federation. Thank you. The 12th bullet point that he's already done and is working on is strengthening and modernizing our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful military in the world. This executive order was signed by President Trump on January the 27th, and it stated its purpose is to protect the American people and our homeland as the most, or the world's most lethal and effective fighting force. Talking about being the 21st century General George Patton, he is not playing with these people. He's doing it for the sake of our nation and the patriotic Americans who volunteered to serve it, to military service that must be reserved for those mentally and physically fit for duty. It is the policy of the United States government to establish high standards for our troops, their readiness, lethality, cohesion, honesty, humility, uniformity, and integrity. This is the type of commander-in-chief I like to see. So I had some family, some of the friends were like, the man is crazy. The man is, he's a narcissist. I said, the man is a person that gets the job done. He says what he means and he means what he say. You can call him mean. I say he's not mean. He means it. You know what I'm saying? He means what he says. You cannot have a commander-in-chief being soft. You can't have a commander-in-chief that doesn't take care of its own military. Okay, the military has to be the best, the most powerful, the strongest, the healthiest in the world. 13, he's keeping the United States dollar as the world reserve currency, according to this article. This is in line with his priorities. So he picked a Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, to make sure unequivocally we assure that the United States dollar remains the world reserve currency. Now, I would add that what he's actually doing is he's going to peg our currency to gold. And we've talked about how he said he's going to do that. We know there's some discussion about how President Trump is commanding that they let us know what's going on in Fort Knox. But he's also checking out what's going on with the gold along the Colorado River, what's going on in the Grand Canyon. As I told you all before, he asked for records. He wants to know everything. He did that in his first administration. I want to look at and see what's going on with the gold that's in the Grand Canyon. Okay, so he is going to peg our new currency, which will actually be called the United States Treasury note, or the United States, or the USN, the US note. The USTN is what most people say it'll be called, United States Treasury note, and it's going to peg it to the dollar. To peg it to gold. So then we will have a very powerful dollar. But I know they're not going to tell you this yet, of course, because they don't want everybody to know that we're moving to a gold standard, that all world's currencies or countries' currencies would be one-to-one with each other. So he's going to make our dollar strong again. 14th point is he's fighting for and the protection of our Social Security and Medicare. Trying to make sure, and he's going to make sure there are no cuts, including no changes to the retirement. It's been an ongoing and mutual priority for President Trump and many members of Congress to do so. Upon negotiation and passage of the budget reconciliation bill, it will be delivered and signed into law by this 47th president, President Trump. 15th, he's canceling the electric vehicle mandate. that Biden had initiated, and he's cutting the costs and burdensome regulations. So this is good news because a lot of those electric vehicles were poorly made. A lot of the parts came from China. It's inefficient. You have to keep stopping to charge up your car. It takes too much time. Allegedly, it was supposed to be good for the ecology or for the atmosphere, but it's not cost effective. The parts come from China and it was just too much. So he's getting rid of that. This article says for car manufacturers, dealers, and consumers, the electric vehicle mandates across blue states became increasingly more punishing as deadlines in each of these places approached it. In November of 2024, according to a Pew Research study, a plurality of 50% of respondents said that they were either not too likely or not at all likely to purchase an electric vehicle. They just didn't like it. Okay, it's not convenient. I've had family members that rented those electric vehicles. It takes too long to charge. It takes up too much time. It costs way more money than just putting gas in the tank. Okay. We have oil here in America. We can take care of gas. Okay. So President Trump is doing the job of just doing away with that mandate, which was foolish anyway. How can you force somebody to get an electric car? 16 is cutting federal funding for any school, pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Why? Because it's not the school's job to talk to my children about my history. Okay. History is always told from the perspective of the conqueror. So if so-called Black people, African Americans, the original Americans, are prisoners of war, you're going to teach that they're beneath everybody else. You're going to teach that they're perpetual slaves. You're going to teach that their brains are not as big as others. You're going to teach this crazy foolishness that had been taught in our history. And if you want to cause a divide between many of our soul family members based on color complexion, you're going to tell the settlers that came here from Europe, you're better, you're smarter, your brains are bigger, you can't mate with one another. This is foolishness. You had slaves, all of you had slaves. You got to hate these people. We don't want our children learning this. Okay. Generation Z is not putting up with this foolishness. Generation X, we were kind of confused, like, where's all this coming from? But I guess you say everybody was a slave. I guess maybe, even though my grandmother said you got Indian in your family, but a lot of our people were mixing with each other, and with different races, and and different ethnicities, different religious backgrounds, people from different political ideologies. They were mixing, even though they were confused. Generation Z, the millennials, these new babies, you're not going to be able to do that to them. Okay. So we're just cutting the foolishness out. They're making babies. They rather have love than war. You're not going to even tell them they have to work 40 hours a week. Okay. Because they can learn how to game and make money, get on the internet and make money. You're not going to control these babies. They're going to make love to one another. So it doesn't even make sense to continue on with this critical race theory. Okay. So in a January 29th executive order, at an executive order summary or celebration ceremony, schools were the main focus, not only promoting school choice and allowing tax dollars to follow the student, but also to block federal funding from any schools or school systems that pushed gender ideology or discriminatory equity ideology. You only have two genders, male and female. I don't want my grandbabies or any of the children that I foster to hear this foolishness that there's 55 different genders. Okay. So he's cutting that out, President Trump and his administration. And 17, he's keeping men out of women's sports. I remember when I'm not going to upset anybody, but there are tennis players that we know that are great tennis players that are female out of California. I used to live in California. Okay. So a lot of people that try to tell me stuff, I'm like, look, I lived in a very blue state. All right. So I remember when the father of these two tennis players said, I had two sons and I wanted to turn them into female players. So I did. Okay. I had the article that has since been scrubbed from the internet. They literally did sex change operations on these children and allowed them to play, these men to play in female sports and be competitive and beat out all the women. That's unfair. Okay, Trump is doing away with all of that. 18th, he's deporting pro-Hamas radicals and making our colleges and campuses safe and patriotic again. 19th, he's securing our elections. Remember, that's a component of the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, NASARA, to make sure elections are secure. So for people that don't know if NASARA is real or not, we see it. He's securing our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. He's supportive of multiple proposed pieces of legislation to secure our elections. Upon signing this, it will complete another priority to make sure we have lawful, secure elections again. And finally, he's uniting our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. This is pending, it says. The American people will ultimately decide if this promise made is kept. With favorability numbers 10 points higher than the beginning of his term in 2017, a trajectory in his favor has been established. So it goes into further detail about that. But as you all know, I will put it in the description section for you to read this and other articles at your leisure. So President Trump is making good on his promises. Puerto Rico has a history with slaves. A lot of countries have a history of slaves, indentured servitude, but the story that we were told that millions of people came on a slave ship through the transatlantic slave trade, it's just erroneous. It didn't happen that way. There's no way on those wooden boats you can bring millions of people across the cold waters over here. That was a lie so that we wouldn't know that a lot of the people here in the Caribbean, in Central South America, here in North America were already here. You can read books like They Came Before Columbus. What else? You guys can put books in the titles of the books in the description section or in the chat. Many, many books will let you know. You look at the 1828 Webster's definition of American, the copper-colored races found here by Europeans, but now applied to Europeans. So people were already here, and when the settlers that came here described the people, they said they were tawny, they were brown, they were copper colored, they were dark, they had high cheekbones, wide noses, kinky coily hair. All of these things will let you know that we were already here. So this is an amazing time. I'm not offended that Trump is getting ready of the penny. Okay, the penny was a copper-colored person facing the opposite direction of all other people. Look, I'm not offended by these things. There's a method to his madness. Okay, maybe he's taking the copper-colored people out of the grasp of the United States Incorporated. So I look at things from a different perspective. If you want to, get invested in it, why not just save all the copper colored pennies you can? Okay, because maybe they're going to be worth a lot of money later. Go to the bank and ask for all the pennies they got. Give me what you got. Give me all the pennies you got. I gotta get them. We really must become more emotionally stable where we're not just upset about every little thing, family. That's what I say. Because we're worth more than a penny anyway, Sin says. Thank you. West Chief Mac's email is unityemotion45@yahoo.com. That's UNITYINMOTION45@yahoo.com. Some people are sore because they want to continue living in the fraud that we have been under. They don't want change, but change is good. In fact, it is beautiful. Thank you, Chief Vicky. Anthony Wood said that was because Lincoln was Black. Right? Good day, family. Yes, Lincoln was he was melanated. He was copper colored. So that's why he was on the penny. I suppose that's what Brother Anthony is saying, and was facing the opposite direction of the others. But no, I don't believe, the story that they told us about slavery didn't, in my opinion, happen that way. The first slaves were the Slavics. That's where the word slave came from. In fact, when the Moors came, or the brutish Moors, or the British came here to America, they brought a lot of their slaves, European slaves that were here, and their sex slaves, a lot of the women that were here, and they brought a lot of prisoners that were here as well, and they were enslaved. They were indentured. They were the ones that had Black status originally, because Black means you have no standing in law. It means you're a slave. And the people, the Aboriginals or the original Americans that were here, the copper colored people, had white status because they were the landowners, or the ones that were the stewards of the land. And then the deep state flipped it on us and flipped the status. And then they had us calling ourselves Black and had our European brothers and sisters calling themselves white. But it's all about status. That's why when Jamaicans come here, you don't call them Black, you call their paperwork says white. Africans, their paperwork says white. Brown people that come from the Middle East, it says white, because it's about status in law, not about ethnicity, not about your nationality. But our nationality, my darlings, is American. It's how I see it. Thank you, Chief Mac. Chief Mac says America was a full empire run by copper-colored people. Yes, and President Trump knows that. Absolutely. So what else are we going to talk about as it relates to President Trump? So we talked about all the things that he's done. To sum it up, he's attacking U.S. aid. He's found out that this aid that was supposed to be helping foreign countries to have food, water, and education has actually been helping them, giving them money for sex change operations, for programs and paradigms to force these ideologies about transgenderism on foreign people. Thank you for the Cash App blessing, Kitty Page. Oh my gosh, God bless you. Wow, I appreciate you. Gave me $100. God bless you. Have a smile on you. I appreciate you. And of course, Chief Mac sending me a lot. I appreciate you so much. But the U.S. aid was funding transgenderism. What else? LGBTQ community, they're pushing LGBTQ ideologies, pushing those shots. You know what I'm saying? The things that you're supposed to be a cure for diseases. And we know that was all a depopulation ploy to kill off people across the waters. So attacking U.S. aid is important. President Trump has put a screeching halt to that money and even commanded for some of those workers to come back home. And some of these countries, like Zimbabwe and other countries, push U.S. aid workers out of their countries and said, we don't want you here. Get out. What else? He's dealing with the border crisis, putting tariffs on other countries, downsizing the government. And speaking of downsizing the government, a vast part of the so-called federal government was going unchecked. And an unchecked bureaucracy is a direct assault on our individual liberties. This had to happen for President Trump to task Elon Musk to create DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency, in order to downsize the government, because the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine. The Chevron doctrine said that these government agencies, all these agencies, there's 441 of them, could create their own statutes, their own legalities, their own codes or laws, so to speak, and force us all to abide by them, like the driver's license, HOAs, homeowners associations, all of these, the FBI, CIA, they can create all of these and force us to abide by them or put fines and penalties on us if we didn't. So the Supreme Court of the United States said this summer that's unconstitutional and treasonous. So those 441 government agencies have to be demolished. If there's any semblance of goodness in any of them, they would just be reabsorbed into our republic. But the Supreme Court of the United States said that they were unconstitutional and treasonous, and that any judge that allowed this to happen and said that, if you went to court, they said that these judges said, we're going to defer you back to those governmental agencies because they're the experts. Any judge that did that has also committed treason. So those government agencies are treasonous. Any judge that went along with it, they're treasonous. And any judge that knew of a judge that allowed this to happen, they're guilty of misprision of treason. So then once the Supreme Court set that in motion, now we have President Trump that come on right after that. That happened this summer. Then President Trump comes in January and is inaugurated, and he's tasking Elon Musk and DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, to downsize the government. Why? Because the government is fake. It's not a part of a republic, and it was unchecked. And again, an unchecked or vastly unchecked bureaucracy is a direct assault on the American people and our individual liberties. And according to the article that I'm going to bring up, tens of millions of Americans are adversely affected by an unchecked bureaucracy each and every day. And this here is the article that I'm not going to read from it. I'm just going to summarize it, but I'll put it in the description section for you. It says Trump and Musk are sticking it to administrative state right out of the gate. So I'm going to just leave that up just for a second. You can see that there. And then I'm going to summarize it for you and put that in the description section. So according to the article, again, tens of millions of Americans are adversely affected each day. But President Trump and Elon Musk, along with the Department of Government Efficiency, are planning to expand our liberties by downsizing the government. So Elon Musk has outlined his plan to take 20% of the savings that he found by Doge, or the Department of Government Efficiency, and send that money back to hardworking Americans. And he's sending it back as a tax refund. And he said, I quote, "It was their money in the first place." So the article goes on to say that the fact that the United States government made nearly $250 billion in improper payments to themselves and others in 1 year alone is egregious, and it's a national emergency. So Elon Musk said that he has a goal of trimming at least $2 trillion out of that from federal spending. And if President Trump agrees, because he got to run it by the president, then he will give a refund check of at least $5,000 to 78 million tax-paying households in the United States. And the remainder of that money will be used to pay down the national debt. So they're doing what they can right now. So this is just the beginning stages of Elon Musk downsizing the government by attacking the government spending, by looking at what they're spending. And I know you guys have heard this, that I reported on this a couple of days ago, that Elon Musk also is commanding the records of the IRS, from the IRS. So some people are like upset about that. They're saying, hey, if you allow the IRS to send you the data from the people, then that could be a security breach. But they've been selling our data for how long now? Okay, why would we not want or desire for the Trump administration to get the records from the IRS? This is just a step in ending or demolishing the Internal Revenue Service. Remember, President Trump himself said, I'm going to get rid of the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, and create the External Revenue Service. I'm going to stop allowing the people to be taxed, and I'm going to start taxing other countries through tariffs. That's what the External Revenue Service is all about. So this is why the IRS has been asked to turn over their records. Elon Musk, in other words, is auditing the IRS. And it's interesting because the IRS is causing all this fuss about not wanting to be audited, but yet they're okay with auditing you. And as a matter of fact, that's why they were going to hire 87,000 agents and gave them the command to shoot us if we didn't pay our taxes. Remember that a couple of years ago? They were going to hire 87,000 new agents to force us to pay taxes. And they were going to audit Americans, and they audit us all the time. But President Trump put a stop to that. He said he stopped the hiring of those 87,000 agents, and then he tasked Elon Musk with asking for the records. Where's that article at? The IRS. This was it. It looks like it's gone. Well, I'll show you. I wanted to bring that article up for you. I don't see it here, but I'll show you. I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to show you the video that I did, the report I did on it, because I talk in detail about how Elon Musk is commanding or demanding that they turn over the records, and the IRS is having a fit. And this isn't from the report, the live I did. Trump gets rid of paper straws, which is symbolic of ending the straw man account. And the IRS is also ending because Elon Musk is auditing the IRS. Okay. In that same report, I talked about, I don't know if you recall, how President Trump says he's getting rid of paper straws. And we talked about it. What do paper straws symbolize? The straw man account. people having a fake account because the government considered you dead at sea. And that's why they created the all capital letters accounts. My name is Kia Pruitt. No longer did they spell it K, capital K-I-A, lowercase I-A, capital P, lowercase R-U-I-T-T, but it's all caps. It's on the social security card, it's on the birth certificate, it's on your bills and all that, because they can't do business with a living, breathing soul. They can only do business, the United States Incorporated, the corporation, and all of these fake government agencies are corpse or corporation. Corpse means dead. They can't deal with you, the real living, breathing you, but they can deal with and do business with your dead entity, your all caps letter. Well, President Trump is saying, I'm getting rid of paper straws. That is symbolic of him getting rid of the strawman account. Why? Because you can't do business as a corporation with they were doing business with a dead person. So now they're getting rid of the corporations. They're getting rid of the United States Incorporated. They're getting rid of these government agencies. Now that they will cease to exist, you don't have any need to have a all caps letter name or account for yourself. And you can't give wealth to a dead man. You can't give wealth to a dead woman. We are living in the golden age where trillions of dollars are being injected into the global economy, and where Nasara and Jasara benefits are coming to each and every one of us, where wealth is coming back to us. Your tax refunds, that $5,000 is just the beginning. You're going to have all the money turned back over to you. The mortgages you pay, the student loans you pay, the car loans you pay, all these so-called loans that you got from the bank, all these bank loans, all that money is coming right back to you now that we're getting rid of the straw man, now that we're collapsing the dead entity that was attached to you, a living, breathing soul. Everything that the man does is brilliant. I got to keep my ear open because I'm with family, and we got some things to do today. So I'm seeing if they calling me, and I think something's going to be delivered today. So I want to thank Sherman Thomas for giving this to me, because a lot of us understood and overstood that the straw man is also a figure or character in the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz was dropping so many codes, family, that a lot of people didn't know. So let's go ahead and dig into what the Wizard of Oz was about. Oz, OZ, equals ounces, as in ounces of gold. The yellow brick road is equivalent to bricks of gold or ingots of gold. The straw man represents that fictional, all caps, legal fiction person. Let me bring this up so you can see it and read it with me. Chief Max says this means that everyone will receive any wealth and will be operating in trust. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Each person will receive money back. Okay, so let me just read this because I'm going to have to leave soon. I am with my family, so I want to honor my family, okay? The straw man represents the fictional, all caps, legal fiction person. The straw man wanted a brain, but he got a certificate, the birth certificate for a new legal creation, and he was proud of his new legal status, plus all of these other legalisms that he was granted. The Tin Man, TIN, taxpayer identification number, a robotic avatar who worked tirelessly until his body literally froze up and stopped functioning. The heartless and emotionless robot creature who worked himself to a frenzy, worked himself to death because he had no heart or soul. He just wanted a heart. The cowardly lion, who was this character? He was a bully, but he was a true coward when somebody stood up to him. He lacked true courage. That was what he wanted. Courage. That's it. At the end, the wizard gave him an official recognition award, authority, and status. The Wizard of Oz, what does he represent? Well, he uses magic, smoke, flames, and holograms, but all of it was just tricks and illusions to push fear and compliance into doing what he commanded. The truth is, the wizard had no real power and only used it as an illusion to create false power and authority. Should we go on, family? The Wicked Witch pushed fear through intimidation. Remember, she was after Toto the dog. She controlled the flying monkeys as well, or the flying monkey police, or who are also the policy enforcers, the mischievous demons, which also represent the Bar Association, the British Accredited Registry. These people attack and control all of the little people, those who pass the Bar Accredited Registry. Who are those? The attorneys, the judges, the judges. They attack the little people for whom? The crown, the great crown wizard, the crooked bankers of Oz. Okay. In the field of poppies, they were not real humans, right? That were there. So drugs had no effect on them. But Dorothy was drugged. The Wizard of Oz was also written at a time when the Rockefellers and the pharmaceutical company began to take over the mines and the medication and education industry by drugging America. The Crown was the largest drug dealers, and after their takeover of the drug distribution in China, they began to expand all over the world. Remember also, Dorothy wore ruby slippers in the movie, but silver slippers in the book. And she ease on down the road. And they followed the yellow brick road. Who is leading us to liberty really behind the scenes? BRICS. These nations are following the yellow bricks road. It was Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the BRICS coalition that stopped trading with the United States dollar. Okay, and start using their own world reserve or some of their own currencies that were backed by precious metals for trade. And they were triggered by Vladimir Putin, who said, I'm going to stop trading with the dollar, because once he went to clean out the deep underground military bases and expose all the craziness that was going on in Ukraine, Biden put sanctions on him. And he then clapped back and stopped trading with the dollar, remember? And he started using his own Russian ruble for trade. That happened in 2022. You can look it up. 2022, the Russian ruble became the strongest performing currency in the world. Then Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, led Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to do the same. Stop trading with the dollar, using their own local currencies backed by precious metals. Then other nations, including and starting with Saudi Arabia, joined BRICS. And then it was all she wrote. Back to the Wizard of Oz story. Toto the dog. He was what the Wicked Witch was after. Toto in Latin means in toto or in total or altogether. Toto was the one who exposed the Wizard of Oz. Toto had no fear. The dog was very small compared to the great wizard, so nobody knows him. But Toto was the one that pulled the curtain back, or pulled the curtain on the wizard and his magical scams. The curtain also means the end of an act or an end of a scene. It's over. It's a wrap. It's the end. He pulled the curtain and started barking until everybody else paid attention. And he red-pilled all the others. So the curtain is the veil. I did a video the other day that says, look beyond the veil. The curtain was the veil that hides the corporate legal fiction, and it's the false court, and it exposes the false courts. The gig is up, in other words. No matter how small your bark is, it can be heard. These are the real jewels or drops of the Wizard of Oz. Let me see if I can find the video that I did about the veil. Where was that? Oh, here it is. I did a podcast with these two gentlemen, Gary and Casper, out of the UK. And I said, look beyond the veil. Let me see. I'll show you this video that I did. I want you to catch it if you didn't see this interview they did of me. Two wonderful gentlemen, part of our soul family, all the way in the UK. I love them so much. So if you look here on, this is the Dr. Kia Pruitt channel, look in the video section. There's video, shorts, lives, posts in the store. Here is the video section. 1, 2, 3, about 4 videos ago, you'll see this one here. It says, oh, happy day on the cover. Freedom and prosperity are here. You've manifested it. Look beyond the veil. And I'm telling you how, if you look with your spiritual eye, keep it with your emotions in check, you'll be able to see that a lot of this stuff that we've been talking about us being free, about us being sovereign, about wealth being restored, it's already happening. You have to look beyond the veil. And I brought that up because Toto was the dog that pulled the curtains and exposed everything, opened the veil. So much is happening, family. Toto was black. Was Toto a black dog? We are total, Sister Bridget says. Yes, we're exposing all of this stuff that's going on. And make sure, looking out for my family, seeing if they're calling my name. So I just want you to, I desire for you to stay encouraged, know that things are working for our good. What else? We're talking about President Trump being the 21st century George Patton. And I told you, some people are saying he is the real son of General George Patton. That was the rumor a couple of years ago. We talked about Elon Musk. Oh, and if you want to know what's going on in BRICS news, Russia and India paid, they said they pay 90% of trade in their local currency and they're sidelining the US dollar. That's not really big news or major news. Thank you so much for the Cash App blessing, J. Cole. I love you. God bless you. Heaven smile on you is my prayer. May the Most High bless you all with 1,000-fold more than what you've given me, and with prosperity, peace, and abundance in the now. May you start to experience it right now. In fact, look at the last video I uploaded just earlier today, says command your blessing. We've been praying, we've been begging. Oh God, please. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, just begging and asking. And you don't pray. If you look at the word P-R-A-Y, it's a play on the word pray, P-R-E-Y. Okay, I know we say it's beseeching God, but at some point, you're going to have to get off your knees. Stop begging, realizing that you are source, that you are God. You are God incarnate, and start commanding things into your reality. I command the wealth to come. I command joy. I command confusion to cease. I command peace in my life. I command the wealth to be restored back to we the people. I command the use of gold as money. I command it, and the scripture goes a step further. Faith without works is dead. Not only do I command it to be done, but I'm going to go down here and I'm going to start operating at the local level to make sure that it's done. Because according to the 10th Amendment for our Constitution, for our republic, local communities have more power than the federal government. Start commanding things. I command righteousness. I command things to be done in the proper way. Start commanding and stop begging. You have power, your source. You are from the creator. You have all that creative energy in you. Why are we begging? Why are we hoping? I hope it changes. No, command it to be changed and get it done and change it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hold on, family. So hold on, my mom's here. I'm about to get off here. So stop begging God. Stop rolling over the floor, crying, getting on your knees, and stand up on your feet and get stuff done. Command it to happen. That's what I want to say. And we're getting ready to wrap this up. Of course, I told you all, Russia and India are paying now 90% of trade in their local currency, sidelining the dollar. Y'all already know that was happening with the BRICS coalition, okay? If you want to see that right quick. Also, Russia and America are becoming partners. Okay, this is interesting. I'm just going to show you this article just right quick here. How two other nations are ditching the dollar. Most exporting nations ditch the dollar. It's BRICS over here, and then the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia joined them. 85% of the world population that joined them. Okay, and then you have Shanghai Corporation, which is the Asian nations. They've all agreed to stop trading with the dollar and use their own local currencies, backed by resources. This is not really new news, but it came on February 18th. For people who don't know, that these two countries are ditching the dollar, Russia and India, which we already knew because they're a part of BRICS. But what people don't know is 90% of their trade is now in their local currency. They don't need the United States dollar. What made the United States dollar the world reserve currency and made America have the financial and economic hegemony, the world leaders, was our agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil. And then we would force all exporting nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia, but they must use the dollar. And any nation that didn't want to get oil from Saudi Arabia, didn't want to use the USD, and maybe they want to use their own currency or they want to use gold, we would just send war over there and we would decimate their economy, destroy their currency. Their currency would plummet, tear up their infrastructure. The people in the know then, though, would go and buy up the currencies that had been destroyed through war, hold on to them, and then wait till after the war. Because America would demolish those countries, that didn't want to do business with us, didn't want to trade with the dollar, didn't want to get oil from Saudi Arabia, fund both sides of the war. Then after the war, go back in those countries, rebuild the infrastructure. Then the country's currencies would be reinstated back to its pre-war value. And the people who bought up those currencies when they had been devalued through war will hold on to them, wait till the devaluation. Now the infrastructure is built up. The country's currencies like Kuwait was reinstated to its pre-war value. Now with the new rate, these world leaders would go and get an exchange rate on those currencies, become billionaires and multi-millionaires overnight. We little people didn't know about that, but now we know. So any nation that didn't want to do business with us in that way, we would just decimate them through war. So again, what made the dollar the world reserve currency and gave the United States Incorporated financial and economic hegemony, thank you for all the blessings, family, was our agreement to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil and force all exporting nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia. And they had to use the dollar to do it. Well, there was a secret agreement called Project Sandman that said between 209 nations that said when triggered, okay, when we see the catalyst, the trigger happen, when the shotgun is, triggered, all exporting nations will simultaneously stop trading with the dollar and use their own currencies backed by gold. That was a secret agreement that we call Project Sandman. I've been reporting on this for the last 8 years now. Okay. Well, what was that trigger? It was Vladimir Putin going to the Ukraine, exposing all the money laundering, all the sex trafficking, all the stuff that was going on. But that was initiated by the Biden administration, all these other presidents, world leaders, CEOs of banks, corporate leaders, all these people was doing all the stuff in Ukraine. Biden didn't like it because now it was exposed. Now James Comer, who is the chair of the House Oversight Committee, you can go to oversight.house.gov, in the search engine type Biden, you'll see all the evidence that James Comer had. Now he's got all this evidence because Vladimir Putin is exposing it. Everybody got angry. Putin put sanctions. Thank you for the Cash App blessing. Putin put sanctions on Biden. Thank you so much. I can't see your name. Thank you, Dennis. I love you. You're so good to me. Putin put sanctions on Biden. And Biden then clapped back. He said, oh, okay, because I exposed what's going on in Ukraine, you're going to put sanctions on me? I don't need your dollar. I'll stop trading with your dollar. I got my own military. That was the trigger. Then Putin led Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to stop trading with the dollar. Then Saudi Arabia jumped on board. And then BRICS followed the yellow BRICS road. I did a whole podcast on that. Go to the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show or YouTube or Rumble. Type in BRICS, BRICS, or follow the yellow BRICS road. You'll see Andy Scheckman and me and I reporting on that. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, South Africa, with the leading of Putin, stopped trading with the dollar. And then Saudi Arabia joined them, and they became known as Sal BRICS. In 2022, mainstream media didn't tell anybody about that until the end of 2024 and beginning of 2025. But we reported on it, and we knew it. It became known as Sal BRICS, and then all exporting nations joined, and it became known as BRICS Plus. You can go to my Rumble or YouTube page and just put in Andy Scheckman. You'll see Andy Scheckman and Dr. Kia Pruitt. We talked about the BRICS coalition. And then once Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, all the other nations joined. It became known as from Sal BRICS to BRICS Plus. Then that was it. That was it for the dollar. The dollar started collapsing. And this is where we are. So Brazil and not Brazil, but Russia and America were kind of going at it because Vladimir Putin put sanctions on, Biden put sanctions on Putin. But now we see an article come up that says Russia and America are now trying to do business with each other. Why? Because now Biden is gone. Now, Vladimir Putin is like, I want to do business with Trump, which Vladimir Putin didn't like Biden or any of those presidents to begin with, because he said the real people that's supposed to be leading America are not ruling. Most governing bodies and presidents didn't want to wouldn't want to do business with the United States Incorporated, because they knew that they were deep state operatives. They knew were bloodline family members that usurped authority from the original Americans. They said, when you restore Morocco, when you restore Al Morocco, when you put the right people back in place, when you give the original Americans back their land, their resources, and their government, when you restore the republic and you move right from maritime law to constitutional law and then to common law, that's when we'll do business with you. This is why they respect President Trump, because President Trump is saying, look, so-called Black Americans need to learn their own history, because those people that say they Indians don't look Indian to me. And he's even saying not only are they not Indians, but their children are not getting birthright citizenship because they're not Americans. Go on, President Trump, do your thing. Be like your daddy, General George Patton. Now Russia is exploring a major partnership with the United States of America. I'm going to leave that up for you to read. I'll put it in the description section. It's on. It's a wrap for the deep state. And finally, I want to tell you that Trump is banning China from buying up American farmland, because China had not only bought up real estate here in America and all over the world, but they have bought up a lot of farmland. In case you missed it, I've been reporting on this for the last few years. The largest real estate company owned by China is called Evergrande. Evergrande filed bankruptcy about 1.5 to 2 years ago here in America. Owned by China. They filed bankruptcy in America, and then they were forced to liquidate their assets. So all of these houses, all of this farmland, all this other land is being dumped onto the market, right back onto the market. If you want to know how to become wealthy, buy depreciated assets like real estate, like foreign currencies that were devalued through war, that's about to be reinstated to their normal value now that all these countries repatriated gold back to itself. You want to become wealthy, buy depreciated assets like foreign reserves or foreign coins, because World Banks met last year to make sure they were ready for currency exchanges. Look on my video section for good news for currency holders. I'll tell you about how all the banks met globally to make sure they were ready for currency exchanges. Look at all my videos on breaking Iraqi news. Everything's set in stone. So now President Trump is looking to ban China from buying American farmland. Tensions are rising between China and America as Trump is putting tariffs on America, putting taxes on them because they were allowed to run rogue and roughshod in America. And so now the trade war is brewing. Both sides are fighting against each other. Now there's a face-off that just went another step further on Tuesday, yesterday, as President Trump reportedly is looking towards banning China from buying American farmland. Because if anybody owns your land and they own the source of your food, if they control your food, they control you. They control your mind. They can enslave you. They can poison you. They can unalive you and depopulate you. So the president is leading a charge to find a federal solution to ensure China doesn't buy any more farmland in this country. And in 2024, 2/3 of the states were considering measures to inflict a similar ban on the Chinese Communist Party and keeping them from buying land or from land buying policies. I'll leave that in the description section for you. The good news is that a couple years ago, the CCP, or the Chinese Communist Party, made a statement, people that had defected them, that said 400 million people defected the CCP, and they had a huge celebration of that, called Tai Dong. And they had this huge celebration in New York. So I did a podcast on that, but I also have a part, let's see. Yeah, let me see if I can find an article just for you to briefly look at that. Yes, 400 million people defected from the Chinese Communist Party. So President Trump is on a rampage. The Chinese Communist Party no longer has the strongholds here in America and across the globe. These people, in defiance of communist control, said we're cutting ties. And they got behind the scenes, and they did it by standing together against the wishes of the CCP, Chinese Communist Party. But after they disintegrated their ties with the Chinese Communist Party, then they had this huge celebration in New York. A Chinese entrepreneur had one message that he wanted to tell the world: Tai Dang. It's a Chinese phrase, and it means quit the party. The words were emblazoned on a yellow flag that Chen was carrying at a parade in Washington on July 21st, 2 years ago, to highlight the Chinese Communist Party's regime coming to an end. But they first talked about their myriad of human abuses. But he talked about at that celebration how 400 million Chinese renounced their ties to the CCP and its affiliate organizations. So that's the good news. But President Trump had to do something from a government standpoint, from an executive standpoint, and create executive orders that would not allow China to buy any more of our farmland. So family, that's it. We've been on for an hour and 15 minutes. I love you all so very much. Somebody says I look beautiful today. Thank you, Mel. I appreciate you. I love you so much. Somebody said President Trump looks like General George Patton. They might be related. Yeah, the rumor and word on the street is that indeed he is the son of General George Patton. So family, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. You have just listened to the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show, where we talked about how President Trump is the 21st century General George Patton, and he just might indeed be the son of General George Patton. And we talked about how George Patton was a fierce leader. He was kind of sporadic. He was known for being hot-tempered, but he got the job done. He won all type of medals. The man was a brilliant leader. We also talked about how Russia and India are paying 90% of their trade in local currencies, and how Brazil, Russia, India, and China, BRICS coalition, and the Shanghai Corporation, the Asian nations, have dropped the dollar. They repatriated the gold back to themselves, and now they're trading with their own local currencies backed by precious metals. We talked about how Trump has attacked United States aid, dealt with the border crisis, put tariffs on other countries, downsized the government, and a plethora of other things. And we discussed how the Department of Energy Efficiency, that's led by Elon Musk, has found all the trillions and billions of dollars that the government has been using to pay themselves off, and they're going to send some of that money back to we, the American people, in the way of as some type of refund check. And this is just the beginning. And they're going to use the rest of the money that they found from the government that they were erroneously spending to pay off the national debt. We went further and we talked about how Elon is downsizing the government and all the things that he and Trump has done thus far to make good on President Trump's election promises. So family, I love you. I thank you. I appreciate you. I am grateful for you, because without you, I don't matter. I would encourage you to go to the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show on Rumble and YouTube. Look at the video section. That's where I usually put up my shorter videos and my inspiring or inspirational videos. And then look at the live section where I do breaking news on geopolitics, breaking news on what's going on in Iraq, breaking news on the world economics and all of that, and breaking news on what's going on with the RV, or the reinstatement of these currencies, and how we're about to do currency exchanges. I thank you so much for your support, your love, your monetary blessings. I thank you all who are giving to me through the Cash App. My Cash App, for those that you are asking, is $ Mama Kia 13. That's $ MAMAKIA 13. So that's about it, family. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. You're welcome. I hope that I've said something, anything, to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Go out and make this a great day, family, and command what you desire to come into your reality right now. Peace. I love you. Bye-bye.